Hi, hope you're having a good day. This video is going to be quite a long one. I'm going to do the past paper, that is the paper 1 AQA Foundation from 2017. So let's read through the front. You would fill in your centre number, which will be this 5-digit one, your individual candidate number, then your surname, then your forename, which is just your first name, and then your signature. Okay, so this paper is non-calculator, and we have 80 marks to get. And does it tell me the length? Yep, and we've got an hour and 30 minutes. So we have got 90 minutes for 80 marks. So a little over a minute per mark. Okay, so let's have a look here. Question 1. How many minutes are there in 3.5 hours? So in 3 hours, there is 3 times 60, which is 180 mins. Because there are 60 minutes in 1 hour, there are 3 hours, so that's 180. Then in a half an hour, that's just half of 60, which is 30. So the answer would be 180 plus 30, which is 210. So we need to work out a quarter plus 0.5. Well, we know a quarter is 0.25 plus 0.5, that will be 0.75. You could have also done this with fractions, however I think it is a lot easier to do it in the decimal way. So, which of these shapes has the most sides? Well, hexagon has 6, octagon has 8, a rhombus, that is just some general one with 4 sides, and a trapezium looks like this, and so we will have 4. Kind of looks like a gold bar, so the answer here will of course be octagon, with the most sides being 8. And I like to remember that as hex. Well, it's 6, and it makes me think of the word hive, because bees build their hives in hexagons, and octagon, octopus, 8. Okay, so x minus 3 is equal to 0. Now, immediately we could see this is probably going to be 3, because 3 minus 3 is 0. However, let's say we didn't see that, which is perfectly fine. If I wanted to solve this equation, I would be getting x by itself, so I'd add 3 to both sides to cancel out that minus 3, and get x as 3. Now, we've got 58 times 73. So let's do this multiplication. So we've got 3 times 8 is 24. 3 times 5 is 15. Now we put the line there, put a 0, and we do the same thing. 7 times 8 is 56, and 7 times 5 is 35. So let's now add these. 4 plus 0 is 4, 5 plus 2 is 7, plus 6 is 13, so we put the 3 there and carry the 1. 1 plus 1 is 2, plus 5 is 7, plus 5 is 12, so put the 2 there, carry the 1. And 1 plus 3 is 4. So the answer here should be 4234. Okay, awesome. So, 500 people are asked if they drink coffee. 9/10 say yes. 20% of the people who say yes drink at least 3 cups a day. They want us to complete the frequency tree. Okay, let's zoom out a bit for this one. So, how do we find 9/10 of 500? Well, 1/10 will just be 50, isn't it? That is 500 divided by 10. Okay, so 9/10 will just be 50 times 9. Which is 450. And so here we know the other proportion is 1/10. So let me just quickly label that. You don't have to label these ones here, you just need to fill in these big circles. But 1/10 we know is 50. However, we wouldn't really have to think about that, because I'd be a bit concerned if we had any other number than 50 in here. Because if we started with 500 people, there's 450 in here. Well, there has to be exactly 50 in here, otherwise we've lost some people, which is usually not the best thing. Okay, so of the people who say yes, so now out of the 450, that's the important bit, 20% of the people drink at least 3 cups a day. Okay, so let's find 10% of the people. Well, this is easy. We're dividing by 10, because there are 10% in 100%. So 20% will be 2 times 10%, which is 2 times 45, and we get 90. So we get 90 in here, and now in the other bit, as per previously, there has to be an amount in here that adds with the 90 to make 450, otherwise we've lost people. So let's figure out what that amount is. Well, it must be 360. Okay, because 90 plus 360 is 450, and I worked that out by taking the 90 people who do drink 3 cups a day away from the people who drink coffee to find the people who don't drink 3 cups each day. Okay, that should be all good. Let me just double check I've done that all right. Yep, that's all good. Okay, so what fraction of the 500 people drink at least 3 cups of coffee each day? Okay, so how many, first of all, drink at least 3 cups each day? Well, there is, I can zoom back in now, 90. Okay, and that is 90 out of the 500 people. Now we need to simplify this because it asks for the simplest form. Okay, so let's do exactly that. I think the best thing to do is first of all divide the top and bottom by 10, because there are those remaining zeros on the end. So now we have 9 over 50. Does this simplify it anymore? No, because 5 and 50 share no common factors. Okay, so by rounding each number to the nearest 10, estimate this answer. Okay, 61 to the nearest 10 is 60, 47 to the nearest 10 is 50, and 102 to the nearest 10 is 100. Okay, so let's have a look at this. 60 times 50, let's do that working out. So we're going to get the 0 times 0, 0 times 6. Okay, now we're going to get 5 times 0 and 5 times 6, which is 30. So this answer will be 3,000. Okay, however, we can't forget this was 3,000 over 100. Let's divide the top and bottom by 10, then by another 10, and we get 30 over 1. Okay, and any number over 1, that just means 30 divided by 1 is just 30. And in general, any number n over 1 is the same as n. Okay, so we have the answer of 30. Okay, so Nadia has £5 to buy pencils and rulers. So the pencils are priced at 8p each, and the rulers are priced at 30p each. So she will buy 15 pencils, then buy as many rulers as possible, and then with her change, I will buy more pencils. Okay, so 15 pencils, how much is that going to cost? Well, if each one is 8p, this will cost 15 times 8p, because we're buying 15 8p rulers. Now, let's do 15 times 8. We'll do it up here to save us a bit of space. 8 times 5 is 40, and then 8 times 1 is 8. So the answer here will be 0, and then 8 plus 4 is 12. Move the 1 up here, so it will be 120p, which is also known as £1.20. Okay, so she started off with £5. She just spent £1.20 on these pencils, so how much is she going to have left? She will have £3.80, because that is 5 minus 1 to go to 4 minus the 20p to go to £3.80. So how many rulers can we buy with £3.80? So each ruler is 30p. Okay, so let's think about multiples of 30p and try to get close to this number. So let's say 3 rulers is 90p. Okay, we know 10 rulers is going to be exactly £3, which is 300p. Okay, so we're getting close. However, we only have 80p and not this 90p here. So let's instead think about 2 rulers, and that will be 60p. So here we have got 12 rulers for £3.60, and that leaves us 20p. And they say that they're going to buy more pencils with the 20p, and each pencil is 8p. So just carry on here. So we have 2 pencils is 16p, and then we only have 4p change, and that's not enough to buy another. So the total amount of pencils was the 15 at the beginning plus the 2 with the change, 17 pencils, and we had 12 rulers, and that should be it. That is 6 marks. So this question is quite a common type. It comes into something called modular division, which I'm not going to go into now, but it's basically how many times can I divide a number before I can't divide it anymore. So what I mean by that is, let's say I gave you £10 and I said each chocolate bar is £3. How many could you buy? Okay, I purposefully chose 10 because it's not a multiple 3. Here we could buy 3 bars for £9, and we would have that £1 left. Okay, we can't do anything with that, unfortunately, but that is what this is working with. It is how many times can I buy something before I run out of money. Okay, so let's have a look at the next one. 25.68 divided by 12. So let's do this. 25.68 divided by 12. Okay, so 2 divided by 12 is 0. Let's carry the 2. 25 divided by 12 is 2, with a remainder 1. 16 divided by 12 is 1, with a remainder 4. And 48 divided by 12 is 4. So our answer is 2.14. Okay, let me just double check I've done all that. Yep, it's looking good. Okay, so now we need to do 3/8 times 11. So here, when you're multiplying a fraction and a whole number like this, you only do the top. And the reason for that is because if you multiplied the top and the bottom by 11, you would technically not be changing the fraction's value. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Let's times the top and the bottom by 11 to get 33 over 88. Then to simplify, we would divide the top and bottom by 11 and go back to 3 over 8. So we haven't changed it. However, when you just multiply the numerator, then it is changing it. The reason for that is because of that same thing I mentioned earlier. Any number over 1 is itself. So sometimes, I know a few people like doing this, when they are working with fractions, they will write 1s under their whole numbers, and then they will treat it like that because it might be easier for them to see how they're interacting. So now we can see the 3 times 11, 33, and the 8 times the 1, which is 8. However, once you do a few of these, you can see that is just the top number multiplied. 3 times 11 over the 8. Okay. I will definitely do videos on fractions because they are quite complicated to get your head around in the first place. Okay, so we have a triangle and it has perimeter 32 centimeters and a square has perimeter 40 centimeters. Now 2 of these shapes are put together to make a pentagon. Okay, so first of all, we cannot get anything from this triangle at the moment. Its perimeter is 32, but we could have, say, a 10, a 10, and a 12. Or we could have a 15, and a 15, and a 2. We don't know enough about this triangle to say what lengths the sides are going to be. So, let's have a look at the square. Now we know, with a square, all lengths of the sides are the same. So, these 4 sides must add to 40, meaning each one must be 10 centimeters. Okay, then this next bit is the problem solving bit. Okay, these sides of the shapes are put together to make this pentagon. Okay, so we know this is the square here, we know this is 10 centimeters. Okay, now how do we do this? I'll give you a second to think. So the idea is that we know this triangle has a total perimeter of 32. Okay, now if we subtract this 10 centimeter side, we just have the perimeter of these 2 highlighted lines now. Okay, it doesn't matter what this one is, what this one is, all we need to know is that they add to 22. Okay, Now the square, we knew each one of the sides was 10, so this will be 10, this will be 10, this will be 10, and we know this whole highlighted bit is 22. So the answer is 10 plus 10 plus 10, which is 30, plus 22, which is 52 centimetres. Okay, so let's go on to the next one, which was that. I just didn't use the working space. In the exams, do not write how I have, like on the sides of the paper. I'm doing that because this pen is very thick so that you guys can see it easily. In the paper, you need to keep inside of the box. It does say do not write outside the box, and obviously use these lines. Okay, so a football team has P points. W is the number of wins, and D is the number of draws. Okay, so they've given us a formula for the number of points, and we can figure out the number of points by figuring out the amount of wins and draws. Okay, this says the number of points is equal to 3 times the number of wins plus the number of draws. That's what this means. Okay, so a team has 6 wins and 2 draws. So how many points do they have? Well, P be equal to 3 times 6, that's the 3 wins, plus the 2 for the number of draws. Now this is 18, 3 times 6, plus 2, which is 20. Okay? So, now after 33 games, a different team has 53 points. W plus D. I'm going to rewrite this. Now, 11 games were draws. How many have they lost? Okay? So to solve this, we're now trying to find something else. Before, we were trying to find the points, and we were given these two. However, this time, we are given other stuff, and we were given this, sorry, and we're trying to find the losses. Okay, so let's take this step by step. The team has 53 points, okay, and we know it has 11 draws, okay. What we don't know is the number of wins. This is the points, this is the draws, okay. So let's solve this to figure out how many wins they have. Let's take 11 from both sides. Okay, this will get the W by itself. So I will have 42 is equal to 3W. Now, if I divide both sides by 3 to get a single W, I will get 14 is equal to W. So, we found out how many wins they've got, but was that the question? No, we're trying to find how many games they have lost. So we know they played 33 games. We know 11 were draws. So 11D. There was 14 wins. So if you add them up, that's 25. So the remaining 8 must have been losses. Okay? Let's have a look at the next bit. So this one here, I think is quite difficult, but it's 3 marks. I think it could be 4 or 5 maybe, but let's have a go. So we need to make these following calculations correct using only these symbols. Okay, so we need to make -4. Okay, so let's have a look. How are we going to do this? Well, I could add these 3 numbers here. This will add to make a 3. And then when I take away 7 from 3, I will get -4. This second one here, this is the nice one. So we know 0 times anything is 0. This n is just anything. So if I do 2 times 0, that's 0. Times with the 1 makes that all 0. Times it with the 7 makes that all 0 too. Okay, now this last bit, it's hinted by the fact that it is 2 to some power, okay? So let's have a look. 2 to the 4 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which is 2, that's going to be 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16, okay? However, there's something I want you to notice before we even start that, okay? There's a 2 here, and there's a 2 here. Let's just focus on that. Now we're left with this 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. Is there any way we can make an 8 with these remaining 3 numbers? Yeah, we can do 1 plus 7. We'll put that in brackets so that it becomes an 8 before we start interacting with it. Okay, So now we just need to make the 2 multiply with this 8. However, we've got this 0 in the middle. So let's just do 2 plus 0. That will give us a 2. And then times it with the 1 plus 7, which will be an 8. And that there gives us 2 to the 4. And I believe that's all correct. Yep, that's all good. Okay. So it's quite a difficult one, but it's definitely doable. So, question 14. A number is picked at random from the first 4 prime numbers. A number is picked at random from the first 4 square numbers. The 2 numbers are added to get a score. So what are the first square numbers? 1 squared is 4. 1 squared is 1, sorry, definitely not 4. 2 squared is 4. 3 squared is 9. 4 squared is 4 times 4, which is 16. Now prime numbers, okay, we know it has to be between 3 and 7. 4's not prime because it's divisible by 2. 6 not prime because it's divisible by 3 and by 2. However, 5 is only divisible by 1 and itself, so it is prime. And then it says the 2 numbers are added to get a score. 1 plus 2 is 3, 1 plus 3 is 4, 1 plus 5 is 6, 1 plus 7 is 8. This one will be 6, 7, 9, 11, 11, 14, and this one's going to be 16, and I forgot to fill this in here, but we know it's that. So we get 18, and then we're going to get the 19, and then we're going to get 21, and then we're going to get 23. And I'm just going to double check that that's all right. Yep, that's all good. Okay. Yeah. So what is the probability that the score's a prime number? Okay, so how many of these numbers in here are prime? Well, there's the 3, so I'll make a tally. The 11. There's the 7. There's the 19. There's the another 11. And there's a 23. So there are 6 primes. And how many total outcomes are there? Well, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So 16 is our denominator here. And what this is saying is 6 out of the 16 are prime, so that is our probability. This could also be written as 3 over 8 if I divided the top and bottom by 2 to simplify it. Okay, so in a school show, the ratio of girls to boys is 1 to 1. And now we're given the ratio of girls who sing to girls who do not sing is 1 to 2. Then they tell us 8 girls sing in the show. So, what is this telling us? Well, they've given us a bit of data. Now, they have to give us this bit of data because these ratios by themselves don't mean anything. They can't tell us how many people there is. Because we know the ratio of 2 to 4, for instance, is equal to the ratio of 1 to 2. It's just a representation of how something is shared. It doesn't tell us how much is originally shared. It just tells us how it's shared. But as soon as you involve a bit of data, then it becomes specific and we can find out exactly who's in what category. So, 8 girls sing in the show. Now, do you think this is going to relate to this one or to this one? Well, I think it's going to relate to the bottom because that's the one that involves the word singing and that's what they've given us here. Okay, so the girls who sing to girls who do not sing is 1 to 2. There are 8 girls who sing, so there will be 16 girls who don't sing. Okay, how I've done that is I've multiplied the left by 8, which then I have to multiply the right hand by 8 to keep it proportional, and that has given me this ratio of 8 to 16. Okay, another way of saying this is there are twice as many girls who don't sing as there is who do sing, and 8 girls sing, so 16 don't. So in total, that means we have 24 girls. Because they either sing or don't sing, there's no in between. And then we know the girls to boys is 1 to 1, so that means there are the same amount of boys, so there are 24 boys. So how many students are there altogether? 24 plus 24 is 48. Okay, so P and Q are points on the line 3x plus 2y is equal to 6. So, complete the coordinates of P and Q. So let's look at P. Well, x is 0, so let's sub that in. 3 times 0 is equal to plus 2y is equal to 6. 3 times 0 is just 0. So 2y is 6, which means that y is 3 if you divide both sides by 2. Now for the next one, q is when x is something we don't know and y is 0. So let's set y to be 0. Well, this goes to 0 and we're left with 3x is 6. Divide both sides by 3 to get x is equal to 2. Okay? Now they want us to draw this line on the values of x from -3 to 3. So we could sub in the x for each one of these and get the number. However, we know this is a straight line graph, so we can just plot 2 points and then connect it and extend that line. So let's plot 0, 3 and let's plot 2, 0. Now if we want to draw this from -3 to 3, well, let's just first of all connect these two. Then let's extend it upwards to -3 and extend it this way to the +3. So as you can see, it is now in the specified region that we wanted. Okay, that's quite nice for 2 marks. Plot 2 points, play dot the dot. Okay, circle the expression which does not simplify to y cubed. Well, y times y times y is y to the power of 3. Let's have a look at this one over here. Y to the 6 divided by y squared is y to the 4. Because of the rules of indices, I'll make a video on it. But when you divide, you minus the power. When you times, you add the power. For instance, this one here is timesing, so you add them to get y to the 3. This one here is dividing, so you minus it and you get 4 minus 1, which is y to the 3. Now all 3 of these 3 simplify to y to the 3, but this one here is y to the 4, so we know this is the answer. So now they want us to write 6,005,200 in standard form. So this is our 200, there's the 5,000, and now this is going to be our 6 million. Yep, 6,005,200. If we want to write this into standard form, we need to put it into the form a times 10 to the b. That is the most generic standard form. A has to be some number in the range of 1 to 9. Okay? And, well, 1 to 10. And b has to be some whole number. And I will also make a video on standard form, but for now I'm going to briefly explain it, but I will go into more detail in that video. So it would be 6.0052 times 10 to the... Now this is the bit that we need to figure out. How many powers of 10 am I going to need to shift this number back to where it was? So we need to get all these numbers back on the other side of the decimal point and 2 zeros. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we got the 2 zeros on the end, so it's going to be times 10 to the 6. And imagine if I just wrote that in there. So 8 kilometers an hour is 5 miles per hour. To convert 96 kilometers per hour to miles per hour. Okay? So if 8 kilometers slash hour is 5 miles per hour, well then we know, well let's have a look at the number 96 first of all. 96 is a multiple of 8. It is 8 times 12. So if I multiply the left hand side by 12, I will get 96 km slash h is equal to 5 miles per hour, times 12 is 60 miles per hour. So we know the answer here will be 60. I have times both sides by 12 so that we have got the 96 there, and then the conversion was nice. We have 5x is equal to 8y, and so if we divide both sides by 8 to make y the subject, we get y is equal to 5x divided by 8. Okay. So, next question. Here's a circle touching a square. The area of the square is 64 centimeters squared. Work out the area of the circle. So if the area of the square is 64 centimeters squared, we know each side must have been 8. because to find the area of the square, it's just the length of a side squared. Because all the sides are the same length, I'm just going to call them L. And so length squared, which is the area, is 64. So L is the square root of 64, which is 8. Okay, so if we know each side is 8 centimeters, well, then we know the diameter of this circle is also 8 centimeters. Okay, because it's touching the sides of the square. So this length equals the diameter. Okay, so now we need to work out the area of a circle. Well, the formula for area of a circle is pi r squared. And if our diameter is 8, so d is 8, radius is 4, because the radius is always half the diameter. So the answer will be pi times 4 squared, which is equal to pi times 16, which is just 16 pi. Okay, awesome. So, Billy wants to buy these tickets for a show. He wants to buy 4 adult tickets at £15 each and 2 child tickets at £10 each. A 10% booking fee is added to the ticket price. 3% is then added for paying by credit card. Work out the total charge for these tickets when paying by credit card. So I've done this before with a few people, and I've only had one person get it right because of this bit here. This means a 10% booking fee is added to the price, and then 3% is then added. So why is that important? Let's just work through it. I'll show you. So first of all, 4 adult tickets will be 60, 2 child tickets will be 20. I got this from doing 4 times 15, and this is 2 times 10. So we know it costs £80 for the tickets. Then a 10% booking fee is added to the ticket price. Okay, 10% of 80 is 8. So it increases by 10%, so it will go to 88 now. Okay, now this next step here, people would do 3% of 80 and add that on, but that's not what it's saying. It's saying 3% of 88, not of 80, is then added. So let's find 1% of 88. Well, that's going to be 88 divided by 100, which is 0.88. We know 10% of 88 would be 8.8, but we don't need this one. I was just showing you, if you aren't comfortable dividing by 100, just divide by 10 twice. This was it once, this was it again. Okay, so if 1% equals 0.88, 3% will be 3 times 0.88. And you can do the long division for this, long multiplication for this. However, I'm just going to tell you that will be this is going to be 64. Okay, so it increases by this 3%, which we know is £2.64. So the answer will be 88 plus 2.64, which is 90.64. Okay, that's good. So, next we are given an equation. Density is equal to the mass divided by the volume. Okay, so the mass of solid A is 6 times the mass of solid B, and the volume of solid A is 3 times the volume of solid B. Okay, so complete the sentence. The density of solid A is something times the density of solid B. So let's just do the calculation. Density, well, we know it's 6 times more, so let's put 6 on the, 6 times more mass, so it's on the top, and the volume is 3 times more, and then 6 divided by 3 is 2, so we just get 2. Okay, average speed is distance over time. If the distance is halved and the time is doubled, what happens to the average speed? So the average speed is distance divided by time. The distance is halved, so it is a half of what it was before, and the time has doubled, and then a half divided by 2 is a quarter, which is the same as dividing by 4. Okay, that makes sense because the distance has been halved, so they're doing double less distance, and it's taking them twice as long, so the average speed has gone down by that factor of 4, because it's basically got twice as bad, twice. Okay, so a regular polygon has an exterior angle of 20 degrees. Work out the number of sides of the polygon. So there's this formula here, which is the exterior is equal to 360 divided by the number of sides. Okay, this is a formula you should have been taught in class and that you should try to remember. But all we need to do to solve this now is say the exterior is equal to 360 divided by n. Now if we want to solve this, appreciate the fact that the pen is massive. We can multiply both sides by n to raise that n up, and we will have 20n is 360, and then divide both sides by 20 to get one n by itself, and n will be 18. So this is an 18-sided polygon. Okay, so a half to 2/3 needs to be put into the ratio of x to 1. So we have the ratio 1 to 2 to 2 to 3, and we want to put this into the ratio x to 1. So we have a half to 2 to 3. So first of all, let's times both sides by 3 to cancel out the division by 3 on the right hand side to bring us one step closer to making it a 1. So this will go to 3 over 2 to 2. Now we need to divide both sides by 2 to get a 1 on the right hand side, and this will give us 3 over 4 to 1. Okay, next one here. So the table shows information about the times for 10 people to complete a task. These statements are about the mean and range of the actual times. Tick the correct box for each statement. So could the mean be less than 20 minutes? Well, let's have a think about it. So we have one person who is in the 0 to 20 band, and then 6 people in the 20 to 40, and 3 people in the 40 to 60. So due to the fact, even if you put these people in here, the lowest they could go, these could all be on like 20 minutes and a little bit, and these people are on the minimum, so they could be just over 40 minutes. Even if this person's all the way at 0, that's not going to bring that mean down enough for it to be less than 20 people. Okay? To summarize what I mean by that, there's too many people over 20 while taking longer than 20 minutes, so the mean can't be less than 20 minutes because there's more people taking longer than less. Okay, can the mean be more than 40 minutes? So for this one here, let's have a look. If we wanted this to be true, the 6 people in here would all have to be on 40 minutes. Yeah? And then we could have these 3 people here all be on 60 mins, and have this person here be on 20 mins. And due to the number of people in each category, you can see that this would allow us to have a mean that's longer than 40 minutes. So the mean could be less than 20 minutes. Oh, I meant to tick that as true. Okay, so the mean could be less than 40 minutes. Well, we could also have this too. We could have all of these values here, we could have them as, say, maybe 41, then have all of these on the lowest they can go, so say like 21, and then this guy could be on 1, and this would drag that mean down low enough for it to be less than 40 minutes. Okay, so the range can be more than 40 minutes. Well, yep, somebody could be on 1, somebody could be on 59 or even 60, so that is true. The range could be less than 40 minutes. Well, we could have one person on 20, and we could have one person on, we could have all of these ones on 41, and then the range there would be 21, which is less than 40. Can the range be more than 60 minutes? Let's have a look. Well, this person can't physically be on 0 because of the strict sign here. It isn't less than or equal to, it's just less than. So we cannot have this range being more than 60 minutes. We can't even have it being 60 minutes. Okay, so write 36 as a product of its prime factors. I like these ones, they're very nice. I like to think they're quite nice marks to get. I've said the word nice a lot. I mean, so this one here, you just want to write 36 as a product of its prime factors. So let's break it down. Divide it by 2, we're left with 18. 2 is a prime number. Divide it by 2 again. I always tend to divide by 2 if I'm on an even number. So now we've got 9. Then we can break 9 into 2 threes. Both threes are prime. So there is 2 times 2 times 3 times 3, which is the same as writing 2 squared times 3 squared. Okay, now they want you to remember the value of cos 90. This just requires you to learn the values of sine and cos at common values. That could be 0, 45, 60 degrees, 90 degrees, etc. So the cos graph looks like this. It starts at 1, dips down, and then comes back and goes up to 1. This is at 0 degrees. This is at 360. This is at 180. And this here is at 90. And this here is at 270. So the value of cos 90 is 0. Because this is 1 minus 1. And of course, this x-axis has to be along 0. Okay. Now we need to solve the simultaneous equations. I do intend to do a video on these because I tend to find they become very repetitive and easy to get marks on. So let's look at these. What happens when I add the equations together? Will we get a letter to cancel? Yes, the y's will cancel because a positive y adding a minus y goes to 0. So let's add these equations. I like to label them and show the examiner what I'm doing. So 2x plus x is 3x, positive y plus a minus y is 0y, and then 18 plus 6 is 24. Divide both sides by 3, and that gives us x is equal to 8. So if x is 8, let's sub into b. 8 minus y is 6, so we can see y would have to be 2. Now, because I've subbed into b, I'm going to check in a. That's why I love these ones, you know if you've done it right. 2 times x, so 2 times 8, plus y, which is 2, should be equal to 18. Well, this is 16, plus 2 is 18. So we have indeed done this one correct. So the answer is x is 8, y is equal to 2. So yeah, that is a whole past paper. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you've got any questions on any of this, put it in the comments and I'll get back to you. Have a great rest of your day. See ya.